Welcome back to another punchy, high-energy intro that Omar's not going to interrupt this time. This is Warhammer 40K Imperium Maledictum, The Darkholds, Episode 3 of Season 1.5. Previously, you guys are traveling on the Light of Dawn, a sort of troop carrier that is currently carrying your troops and yourself as you travel from the horrible, mismanaged, completely dead, absolutely dismissed, I wouldn't call it a world, the Space Hulk after it left, leaving you kind of stranded in space. You are traveling away from that to a new place for your rogue trader to be allied with, Titan's Lair. On the journey there, you are being analyzed, measured, weighed for a promotion to move forward by a space marine that you know, Mercutio Borghese, who is currently following you in cloaked silence. You, your companion Luther, and an unnamed servitor have traveled to Fadrix City, which is not even a city. It's like a small town. It's a thorp, really, smaller than a hamlet. It's a thorp within the Darkholds, where you have found...
Oh, hey, it has a church, so therefore...
It does have a church, but it is dedicated to the machine spirit of... Well, I guess... From an omnisciic point of view, worshipping a machine spirit is the same thing as worshipping the omniscience, so it's not actually heretical. I feel like
this could be lights, but we're skirting them.
There could be a matter of debate here religiously as to whether or not this is orthodox.
By UK standards, all you need to do is put a train station here, and it will be classified as a town legally.
That's it. The high energy intro ran out of energy.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, "Yep, Arthur's done."
Well, okay, that happened.
Fadrix City, what it's classified as in the Warhammer 40K universe, is a blight on existence. You've met the Water Consortium, a family who controls the water supply who are having some troubles. You decided not to help them very much and to go travel to Fadrix City in order to find out more about the religion of the Light of Dawn, which you have successfully impersonated yourselves with. And you have been named the three most important figures in their cosmology, the Knight, the High Mage, and the Sage. Unfortunately, you do not have a big rat, which is an important thing. They're probably going to find one for you. You've spoken with several people here.
Hold on. What about the servitor?
The servitor is not a rat. It is a machine human.
It has a rat brain.
They don't know that. Do you want to explain it to them?
Well, we'll see. We'll get if they get that far in the conversation. And I just want to point out, by the way, we did try to help the Water Consortium, but it was literally cooking Kain alive.
Yeah, it was cooking Kain alive. It was funny. You learned that Rassie has a retirement bungalow on the planet Jovi 5, and you know that the local guards have been bribed onto your side. You've bribed Administrator Casp Tubman, the leader of the 10 guards here, to look the other way, by promising him that when this place is brought into... Now, this is what he thinks. What you actually promised him is slightly differently worded, but he thinks when you bring this place into the greater universe, he will be left as the administrator of this place. His actual title is Leader of the Guards, but he is now calling himself Administrator.
I promised him a chaise long as well.
Yes.
I remember that now.
He did ask for something to lay on. You've learned about the Ocker people who turned into the Jellies, which are a constant threat. James took a wild shot guess as to how the Jellies formed and was 95% correct, so I'm just going to give it to him. And you are approaching a Argus lighter that has been disassembled with the name Veritas Maximal on the side of it in order to meet someone called the Keeper of the Secrets. James has noted that there is a Tzeentchian entity, I believe, or a Slaaneshi entity that calls themselves Keeper of Secrets. I think that's the Slaanesh, like, Primarchy, not Primarch, like Demon Princes are called Keeper of Secrets.
The greater demons are called Keepers of Secrets.
This guy's name is the Japester. It is a title that is also a name. And just to make sure you remember, there is an Eldar wandering around in the saloon nearby.
That Velamris very much wants to kill him.
was very much hoping we don't murder him because we looked at each other and we both went,
And now
Velamris had to make a
This
roll
is
to
like
keep
my
from killing
meal
him.
ticket's about to expire.
the life and times of the inhabitants of Tertiary Cargo Bay 7 now lie in your hands as Luther and the servitor nervously walk behind you. You approach the Japester. This is a aged man who, if you believe the residents here, is approaching 600 years old. He is slightly rotund and rosy-cheeked while also seeming kind of grayish and pale and definitely withered and aged. Seated in what could generously be called a plastic lawn chair that looks out of the side of the Arvis lighter. So the Arvis lighter has basically been cracked open like a lobster, essentially, and people have taken all of the useful stuff out of it. It's now just a sort of, what's that Nick Cage movie, Lord of War? It's like a skeletal Lord of War version of an Arvis lighter that has like a tarp over top of it and like lights strung. It's been turned into a rather large residence that seems to house just this man. He is rocking in the chair as you approach, and the Arvis lighter is up slightly, like it is taller than you are to get to him, but because it's been cracked open like this, there's almost like a slide to get up to him, or like a ramp or a staircase of some kind, just made out of this really questionably material science. Just someone laid down whatever their version of wood is. You can't even begin to imagine how they got this material here because there are no trees inside of this spaceship. He tries...
I need to step away just for 1 minute. My wife needs me to quickly do something from the house.
Incredible, because he was about to address James. All right, we'll pivot sideways. He struggles to get out of his chair and he says, young man there. Your uniform, are you a member of the Imperial Guard?
recently retired, but I was.
Might I have the honor of your assistance to rise from my chair so that I might bow before the Twitch sketcher?
Sure. Rassie will step up and help him.
He feels old, like shaky and brittle as he rises. He goes down the side of the ship that has been cracked open and goes to stand before Sister Holly and get down on one knee very hesitantly. It's clear that this guy isn't going to get back up with help, and he says, "My apologies for any inconvenience that we have offered to you, Twistcatcher. I hope to honor the contributions that we have made to the ship."
Let's see.
Velamris is in something of a bodyguard mode right now.
Okay.
Desperately trying to keep his mouth shut because he really, really wants to start murdering some of these people. One very much in particular. But he knows there's a kind of a not necessarily unspoken agreement, but, you know, an agreement amongst the three of us that we're not going to do that just yet. So Velamris is definitely restrained, one hand resting over the butt of his pistol, just waiting. Eventually it'll come out. Maybe.
Sorry, my wife is out buying Christmas presents for the kids, and she's like trying to phone me to say, they own this, they own this.
Those are valid questions.
PS5 Pro. They don't own it, but get it for me instead.
So sorry. So this guy has walked down to greet us. Yes,
He has had Rassie. He has trouble standing up on his own. He's had Rassie escort him to stand before you, then kneel down and address you as the honored Twistcatcher.
So, you know what we are then?
I've been here for a long time. When I was a boy, we were trapped in here. I have heard rumors from those who have abandoned their service aboard this vessel and fled down into these holds. You are the Lord Twistcatcher and the companions. You belong to an organization called the Ancios. It's an acronym of some sorts. Words of ancient power.
Can we talk candidly inside your domicile?
Yes.
I don't want to upset anybody out here.
My arise.
But if he makes the effort, Rassie will help.
Thank you very much, honored warrior. If you could help me back to my chair.
I will.
As the three of you enter into the Arvis Lighter, this is something between like a hall of governance and a library. It looks a lot like the basement in your local mayoral area where all of the records are kept, essentially. You can see loose like census data around here, blueprints, sketches, interviews. This guy appears to just be chronicling everything that has happened for dozens of years.
Would you, AP, take a intuition people test to see if he has any sort of reaction to Rassie's presence that might indicate that he is a psyker in the presence of
You don't
a null?
need any test for that. Rassie was the first person to approach him, and he had no reaction to Rassie at all.
Okay. No worries. Okay.
Not even a negative one?
I mean, let me ask you this question. If you know what a twist catcher is, and you know they're approaching you, how can things get worse than that?
I suppose, but
Feeling an ominous foreboding coming from one of them doesn't make this situation better or worse. It's already the worst it can get.
are our characters familiar with the role of the twist catcher?
Yes, yeah, it's the person on board who goes down to the Darkholds and clears out the mutants. Sometimes they press gang them into service on the ship, and sometimes they just brutally murder them.
They're an
Which is
NCO,
pretty much
you
what
said.
we're sent down here to do, at least from Velamris's perspective, is like,
You're
no,
not-
twist catch
so
is
just be clear.
exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
You're not twist catchers, though, just to be very clear.
Yeah.
You're given
Whatever.
open-ended, you're being judged by what you choose to do. You are not twist catchers. You can certainly do it, and no one will say anything bad about that. These
Right.
people aren't members of the crew. They are, for the most part, some of them are mutants, some of them may be mutineers, and the rest, they don't belong here to begin with.
Right.
Point of
But-
order, part of the ship, part of the crew.
That pirate maritime law does not apply to the Light of Dawn, a vessel fully in conjunction with Rogue Traders Code.
What would you like us to call you?
There are many around here who call me the Japester. I do not even know my own name. If you look on the shelf over there, and as he gestures, there's kind of like almost earthy smell coming from a cabinet he gestures towards, and you can see that there is a carefully framed photo of an Arvis lighter and like a family of 8 people, and one of them is holding a little, like the mom is holding a little baby, and he says, I was just a babe when I got on this shit. My whole family was traveling from Macaria to the new lands we were supposed to settle. I was so tiny and small. The ship must have gotten sealed up in here somehow. I'm not sure. I was not raised by my family. I was raised by a group of mutants who found me and decided to take pity on me as a young babe.
If it's any help, I grew up on Macaria, so we have some common origins.
I feel like the common origin we may have may not be as common as you think. This is how we used to speak on Macaria.
I wasn't born in Macaria. You're up there, I said. In any case, I don't know how much you know about the role of the twist catcher, but we come from the walls beyond this section of the ship. And our job here, our goal here is to bring the people in this section of the ship back into the light of the Imperium, to find them a place. And to be clear, if we can't, the second option is much less desirable. Obviously, this society has fallen far from the tree of Imperial society, but these things can be learned. These things can be corrected over time, but they will not be corrected without an initial period of trauma first. And so I am looking to you to help us find ways to lessen that trauma, to help with the transition.
I can do what I can to help you. All of the people that live here are my family or are married to members of my family, but I do not have any sort of authority over them in the way that you are asking. I can only plead with them.
Sounds like you're a trusted elder.
Well, in some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. The Japester is a figure of trickery. There are many who say that for every truth I speak, there is a lie as well.
So normally when you have figures in authority and a superseding authority comes in to take over, that never sits well with those who had authority beforehand. So in many ways, I think that you're better placed in this, because those who held power here, who stand to lose it, will be the most likely to try and cement insurgency against the concept of reunification.
I don't have long to live, Lady Twistcatcher. There's no authority I would try to take from anyone here. Authority around here implies more organization than we have. We just barely get by recycling whatever waste we can from the rest of the ship. But no one's been able to leave here for over 600 years. We've tried to go deeper into the ship, but the jellies will get them, or people never return. There were rumors of a door with an ancient riddle that drove many out into the wilderness beyond, but none have ever returned.
And we came from beyond that door.
The people here are loyal, and I've tried to raise them to be good Imperial citizens as best I know how, but I don't know how very well. So I only hope that you can do a good, merciful turn to them.
Could you help us to work out which people in this community are the ones we should be reaching out to and telling the truth to, so we can begin this, rather than, I said, a lot of people will choose a comfortable lie over an uncomfortable truth. And so we need to do this softly.
Is your intention to have everyone stay or have everyone go?
Well, it's not about making people leave this place. I mean, this place is still part of the ship. There are still functions that could be performed here. If these people wish to stay, provided they can be appropriately skilled, and the function of this area of the ship can be returned to a level of sustainability, then we're not talking about forcing people out. We're talking about bringing people into the light of truth, that they are part of an Imperium, that they are part of a ship. And like any part, every part has its bit to play. Those that don't play their part harm the great machine, and broken cogs need to be replaced or removed.
I think there is a moment here for some insight.
Okay. Intuition, people? I
think so.
All right. See, it's the first roll of the game, so I better spend a fate point on it.
That is the tradition.
It is just as traditional as a punchy, high-energy intro that eventually runs out of
and
energy.
One that gets interrupted by Omar.
I assume this is not a test related to my faith.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that what you're picking up from him, yeah, +4. What you're picking up from him is that he knows who he mentioned mutineers earlier, and he knows that people who left their jobs and like wandered over into this place and now can't get out, they're not going to rejoin society. You're going to kill them, as an example. And he's doing the math on how he can protect these people, and he's looking at you, and he knows you know that that's what he's doing.
We weren't sent here to kill people. We were sent here to restore function to the ship. Some people may have fled here in the past, fearing persecution or something else. That's not to say that those people would be pushed directly back into the role they fled. But as I said, I have a role, he has a role, even he has a role, indicate towards Rassie.
Yeah. Whoa, Rassie's the last one? I thought it was Velamris.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just to be clear, I don't respect Velamris. I don't like Rassie. But I do like Velamris, and I do respect Rassie. So
I don't like half of you half as much as you should like.
I mean, it's not like it's been subtle. There was a straight up like, we had a whole conversation where she was like, "I absolutely despise you, but you do good at your job, so let's just keep doing that."
Yes,
I think
that
was around the time when
it was our performance interrogations.
I think it was a little before. I think that came up when during the High Gothic lessons.
Yes.
Are you
So
lying?
Rassie knows.
no, I mean I don't think
critical
that.
failure.
Anyways.
Oh wow!
He yells, "J'accuse at me! You're lying!"
He rolled a 100 on seeing if Holly's lying.
Which is not a critical failure. A critical failure is a double.
Right, that's
on a
true.
fail,
It would
yeah.
be doubles, but it is the worst. It is the worst natural option you can.
Yeah,
get.
it's an impressive failure.
He starts sweating.
Yeah.
It's clear that he doesn't know what to do at this point, and he says, "I'm just not sure what we can do about this. I can gather what family I have. We'll listen to any commands you have, Twistcatcher, but I can only hope that you'll spare some of us at the very least from your wrath. No one here has done any wrong by me, and I've done my best to make sure that we follow, if not the imperial truths, then the light of dawn."
If anyone suffers because of this, it's not their failure, it's mine. I have not come here to cause suffering.
Would you hear a jape from me then? Before
Please.
we begin this. Alright, roll a d4.
No worries. I also just in case I sort of like head motion Rassie to stand close to him just in case.
I'll creep into frame and stand like just behind and slightly to the side of Holly.
That's a 1.
He takes a deep breath and he says, "The 13th is a lie. It is the 20th brother who has replaced him."
I quickly pull out my notebook and note that down.
Okay.
Or my little note here I got again, so it's a little data pad.
So the player in me can't determine if that's Space Marine chapters or the clans.
The player we knows exactly what he means, but
What is it?
I have suspicion.
that Omegon of the Alpha Legion has placed the head of the Ultramarines.
Yes.
13 chapters of the Ultramarines, yeah.
All of the Japesters options are all fake YouTube rumors that Lord Tubers have made up.
More tubers.
Yeah, so the big one that I found was Alfarius or Omegon has replaced Robute Guillimon.
Which is difficult, given the way that Alfarius and Omegon are described in the books.
Yeah, it's different. But like I said, these are Lord Tubers.
Yeah.
all of these rumors are wrong, but I wanted to have a good jape.
But for those of you that aren't, I mean, I'm talking to the audience here that aren't familiar. So Space Marine Primarchs are supposed to be as big again than Space Marines as Space Marines are as humans. But Alfarius and Omegon are not. They are pretty much Space Marine size, so they can blend in among their legion quite easily because they don't look like giants among men.
Giants among giants.
Well, they still look like giants among men, but not among giant men.
Yeah.
They've definitely got the unremarkable talent.
I do like how someone wrote the Tau version of an Imperial Guardsman's primer, and it's like if you see an Imperial officer, how physically large they are indicates their level of authority. And they're like the Emperor, a Primarch, a Custodes, a Primaris, a Space Marine, and it's like, wow, they're actually right about that one. That's real video game logic as well, you know?
It's also slightly worky.
I'll dig out for you, AP, at some point. That I found that someone did a comic strip that they put onto the internet a while ago that was like a group of Sisters of Battle fighting a group of Tau, and it turns out that the Tau warriors are actually like Imperial citizens that have been integrated into the Firecast. So and it's like really like professional grade comic strip that someone's just put on the internet. So I'll find it for you. It's quite good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Japester gives you his jape, the lie that has been whispered to him, and he just says, "Where do we go from here? I can call over my son, the missionary, and have him begin spreading the word that people should prepare for a great change to come."
Velamris is gonna lean over to Sister Holly and just kind of whisper, "What about the Eldari? What can he tell us of him?"
What do you know about the figure with the pointed ears, that tall one with the pointed ears?
The Eldar, you say?
Okay.
Yes, that one. He came to us 100 years ago. He was stowaging on board, and then when he saw the state that we were in, he decided to grant us mercy and stay as a charity charity worker. I have to confess, I do not understand all the words he says. I think sometimes he's still speaking his own tongue. But my understanding is that once these elder folk commit themselves to a path, they remain on it for a time, a long spell in human life. And until that time has passed, he will continue with us for then. I see from your eyes you do not trust him, and I think that is wise. He goes among us still armed.
We'll talk about him in a moment, Velamris.
Yes, Velamris has definitely got that look in his eyes of like, "Can we go murder him now, please?"
May I have a closer look at your family photograph?
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh.
I love how the only missed beat was him switching to the accent.
I mean, if he's all right with it, I wanted to have a look at if there's anything on it that would approximate a date, including if you'll let me open the back of the frame to see if it's like marked on the back with any sort of production information.
So what is weird is that when you're looking at the photograph, you see an Arvis lighter, which makes sense, and you see this family, which also makes sense. But the name on the Arvis lighter is Beast 6, not Veritas Maximo. As you pull it out, you can see that the back of the photograph has a message written on it in High Gothic, that
Okay.
dates it to being about like 200 or 300 years ago. That's just like, we're leaving now. This is all of us together. Perhaps the last time the family's getting together. Maybe one day I'll see my siblings in the after with the Emperor's light.
Is there any familial resemblance between the figures in the photograph and the man we're talking to?
I mean, no one in that photograph is as old as this guy. I think that there probably isn't anything outwardly familial about him, other
Just to
than
be
the
clear,
fact
like
that they're all human.
I'm from an order which specializes in
Yes.
genealogy.
That's why I'm not having you roll anything. You don't recognize, like, his ears aren't the same as any of the male ears. That
Yeah,
are there.
there's no sort of classic traits like
Yeah.
a nose bridge or. Okay.
And it's a black and white photograph, so it's hard to say about eye color or hair color or anything. But
All right, I'll put it back. If you would gather, but don't, like, we can do this slowly. We don't need this doesn't need to be too urgent. I don't want to cause a panic. If you could slowly start to gather these people up that we can talk to, and we will just stay out of trouble in the meantime. I
you're
did talk
looking
with
at
my
this
compatriots
guy.
anyway.
You absolutely can tell that he has some sort of smart-ass comment to make about you guys causing a panic, given the fact that you guys have already caused a panic
Cause the panic, yeah.
multiple times.
I think I actually had the words "caused a panic" in my notes.
Yeah.
We are going to go ahead and take a break real quick. And it might take a couple minutes to come back. I have to drive over to my mom's. So we're going to take like a 10-15 minute break here, guys.
Okay.
And when we get back, we'll do stuff.
Alrighty.
All right.